Welcome back to the C Morning Show, everyone. We're just about at the halfway point of our program, leading us to our, one and only discussion of the day, but it's a very important one because, as we know, Indonesia will be holding a general election next year that some have claimed will be the largest in the world, with
52%
of the population expected to cast their votes. That's a big number.
Yes, indeed. And they include young and first-time voters. And some surveys have actually suggested that many in this group are currently still undecided on who to vote. This despite the wealth of information related to the election.
Well, a lot of my friends as well, too. Every time this topic comes up, like, undecided yet. All right. So now we're going to talk about how the youth can be involved with Bijak Memilih platform with Naufal, Hilmi, and Think Policy co-founder Florida Andriana. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we always love having you guys. The last time we had Afu, actually,
correct.
Andita F. Utami here. So let's talk about it again this time, because I know that the website has been developed even further. So since the launch of the Information Center on Participating Political Parties for Young Voters to help them make informed decisions, how are the response and engagement levels so far from the young people? Who wants to answer?
I can do it first.
Okay.
It's been exciting.
Yes.
So we have launched the second phase of the website. At the beginning, we started with the issues. Now we touch on the political parties because it's another context that to make young voters make informed choices. So the response has been great. We've seen great feedbacks from audience, from the readers. Hilmi will speak more about it. We also have good feedbacks from political parties, surprisingly.
Seriously?
Wow.
So yeah, I think we were nervous at the beginning.
What were their responses?
I think some members have reached out to us, like asking for clarity, but everyone's like, okay, and actually acknowledge our efforts. So they say like, this is good effort to help distributing all the information about the parties. It's concise and everything, so it's good. And then last, I think we also getting more exposure from the conventional media, because before, I mean, aside from See Today, but I think before we play back in social media, but now conventional media also start cover us, which actually expand our coverage to more senior, beyond like millennials, right?
Yes,
we heard stories about the teachers or parents sharing about Bijak Memilih, to their kids. So that's exciting. You want to share more?
So yeah, there's these civic education teachers that actually forwarding a message to the group of class of their students in senior high school that, hey guys, you know the Bijak Memilih? And then he's forwarding the message about Abigail explaining run through
the
website.
Yeah.
And then people have been reporting, we've been the teachers has been using a Bijak Memilih as a reference for their learnings in the schools. So yeah, it's
great. And we're talking school kids who may not be of voting age yet, but at least they're starting to learn about it. So by the time they're voting, right?
I'm going to encourage my husband because he teaches at LSPR, so it's like blast this to your student, okay?
There you go.
So one of the things is obviously credibility from the political parties themselves. If they are basically in agreement with what you guys are doing to help them reach a younger audience, it means that the information that you've provided is quite accurate, because I'm sure that's what they're looking for as well. Fact checking you guys. So we're looking at it right behind us right now. We've got Marissa, who's all excited to touch screen today.
Yes.
So take us through it now that this has been updated.
Okay.
This is Pemilu 101. What is this?
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually a crash course. Can I go there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Really? You go that way.
It's a quick crash course for because we understand that most of the audience is actually young voters.
Yes.
And that this is the first time that they are going to vote. So we're going to have this crash course, short crash course to help them understand what is Pemilu, what is the political parties, and then the job of presidents and also the DPR.
Okay.
Wow.
It's like a quick one to get people understand, because I think if people actually understand the reasons why the political parties is actually created and then the jobs of president and DPR, maybe they can get enough ownership and then come into the elections in 2024.
But by the way,
Right.
we take a lot of this for granted because some of us already know this and we just
Right.
assume. So this is really a step-by-step approach as to,
Yes.
if you're voting for the very first time,
Yeah.
here's what you need to know, right? from the
Yeah,
start,
because
right?
it's like I was also, before there's Bijak Pemilih, whenever there's general election, I was doing the chap chip chup, which is like, okay, chap chip chup is basically, okay, which one am I going
Right.
to
Oh, it's
elect?
like eeny, meeny,
Not
miny,
knowing,
moe.
exactly, eeny, meeny, miny, mo is chap chip chup
my
in
goodness,
Indonesian,
okay. I did
which
the
is
same too.
bad,
Yeah. Which is
right?
bad,
I mean, we need to change that because our votes are actually going to determine the trajectory of this country.
Absolutely.
Okay, so these are the simple information where you can educate yourself. And then we have all the political parties as well.
The new pages is
Boom.
This wasn't available to us before.
Right.
so this is
No.
new.
So this is to what? To
So this is
understand.
to explain there's a lot of political parties in Indonesia,
Mm.
and disclaimer, the positions of the political parties by the number that given by KPU.
Given by the
And
election
there's
committee.
these political parties that available to choose. In
Wow, how many political
I am
parties
not
are
aware
running?
There was this many political parties, by the way.
Wow, 24 political parties now in Indonesia.
This is the national one, right? And then we also have the specific parties that available only in Daerah Istimewa Aceh.
Ah, right.
Okay.
But currently we are not providing more detailed information on this, just to put it in.
Right, so that's specifically for Aceh. So we are not going to click any of the political parties for neutrality, for neutral reason. If you can explain, when we click into one political party, for
Yes.
example, of our preference, what sort of information are we going to get?
You're gonna get the information about the political party basic informations and also the details of how many bacalek or the candidates that would be elected in the 2024, the genders and also the ages,
Wow.
and also the top 3 where the vote is most coming from each political parties, and also the ideology part. So we are going to know that this party is actually leaning to what? Is it more pro to regulatory market or not, or more free market? And then there's
Right.
other stuff that you can explore in here.
Right.
And there's also voting history records that we previously present in issue page,
Right.
but we aggregate it into the one political parties.
Oh, right. Okay. So that's the issue. And by the way,
Yes.
let's remind everyone as well, there is a quiz because
Right.
we have so many political parties earlier, and you also
Yes.
mentioned, Hilmi, that they all have different ideologies. So which ideology is aligned with mine, right? So you can basically take the quiz by pressing the quiz button.
Has this been updated? Because I remember the
Yeah,
quiz
you
was
did
in
it.
This is still the same.
Okay,
quiz.
this is because I
Yes.
want to make sure, because we did this quiz, didn't we?
Yeah,
And
we
it kind
did.
of, what it did was it helps us, it's basically
Yeah.
directing us as to
Yeah, yeah.
which party that we are
Yeah.
actually more gravitating towards.
Exactly. So these are like, what are the strategic issues that are important
Important to
for
you.
you?
Okay.
Oh, now, how do we go back?
I think that's the tab.
Oh, that's the tab.
Yeah.
Okay. What else? What else can you explain from this
Okay.
new
The,
phase?
the other new one is also the new page for the BMX.
What is this?
This is a page for people so they can host their own events with Bijak Milih
Yeah.
Oh.
in their own way,
Right.
in their own places all over Indonesia. So far, we already have a BMX in more than 10 cities and 3 countries.
What?
Yes.
Really?
So, outside of Indonesia, where would that be?
What are the 3
So,
countries?
We've already done the BMX in Singapore.
Oh.
Also collaboration with PPLN Singapore that also affiliated with KPU.
Wow.
And then we also done the other 2
Yeah.
in the US.
Okay.
Ooh, in the U.S.
So this is to educate those voters that are outside of our country.
Right.
Wow,
right.
wow. Okay.
So
There's a
what-
lot of young ones as well.
Absolutely.
Because I think we believe that internet access will be very challenging
Yes.
access for everyone. So yeah, I think having this kind of grassroots movement will help people to actually spread these informations and help us to achieve our missions, which is
Right.
improve the election 2024 to usually coming from the identity politics to
Yes.
become more
Yeah.
policy and issues.
Yeah, policy and issue based, right? So this is interesting because you guys, of course, deal with a lot of the young voters, and you are both, well, we too are also still young voters. What are they looking for? Because why I'm asking you this is because, is there anything else that you want to
I just want to show the photo.
Okay, just the photos, right? Hey, that's Apu, hi. Yeah, so what are they actually looking for? Because what I'm concerned about whenever we have general election is what is called serangan fajar. You guys are very familiar with serangan fajar, right? It's basically money politics. On the day of the general election, some people would sneak into the polls and then, like begin to give money and say, hey, vote for A, B, or C.
Right.
Now, what about young people? Are they prone to that? What are they looking for?
Yeah, I think it's a bit different style. I mean, we're not sure yet, as in like how it's going to affect them. But so far from our interactions with our audiences, with our readers, they actually care. They want to make sure they can have an informed decision, right? So when they come to us, they want better insight, as in like, again, with like the issues, which parties really champion the issues that they care about, which party has like cleanest track record, for example, right? So that kind of information that's really important for them, I would say. Basic, at least from our audiences and people that come participate in our programs. So yeah.
Okay, speaking of that, then I agree. I don't think you can just throw $5 at a youth these days.
Yeah, this day
and kind of buy their
I think they'll take it, but like it's not necessarily just being smart.
So again, we did not click on each individual party, but when we did earlier, we saw that you provided a lot of comprehensive information in regards to their track records, in regards to even key issues like corruption, for example. Where do you curate, where and how do you curate this data? Because obviously the parties are backing this as well, so they're in agreement with the data that you provided. But for those that are curious, if they're looking at this, obviously they want to follow this, how is this data being accumulated?
Yeah, so I'll start first. So basically, we really believe in collaboration. So when we curate this data, we're actually looking for data that's basically already publicly available, right? So it's coming from, for example, from the political party's profile. It's coming from the
news?
the General Commission, the General Election Commission.
Right.
So it's from them, and then also the political party's website. So we curate and synthesize the information.
Right.
On the corruption track record, for example, we work with KPK and also with Indonesian Corruption Watch to process the data. So it's basically it's pretty out there, So it's all out there, right? But sometimes the challenge is how it's presented or conveyed, and that's what we try to do with Bijak Memilih. And for example, the other is the ideology part. There was a survey done by LSE with Australian National University. So that's also the information, and it's been since 2018. So that's also the references that we put in the website. So there's a lot of disclaimers, like where's the sources of the data.
But honestly, it makes it easy, like for me especially, because I didn't grow up with this Indonesian election system, so I've had to learn it as well in recent years. Just having an overview, kind of like, so you can just click one and just really quickly look at and scan, it just gives you a better idea, I mean, apart from taking the quiz.
Have any of the political parties, I'm just curious here, because, it's like they say, it's like, oh yeah, we support you so much, but actually, maybe this detail, can you just get rid of it? Because it would make our political party look not so good,
Fortunately, no, we never have that conversation.
That's great.
I think the toughest conversation we have just like clarifications, because for example, the corruption, what we put is those cases that have got like putusan pengadilan, so district court decisions. So there's like questions. So there are some cases that you don't incorporate here, but that's like still ongoing processes. So they just ask for clarifications. But other than that, it's fine. So I think that showcases that we're actually really independent. There's, I think it's been well informed, so no one like bothered to ask us, can you like modify the data? Because they know we're not affiliated to any political party.
I think that's really important as well for us to know that. So we know that, and the numbers say that from a leading newspaper here in Indonesia say that as of 2 months ago in August, about 11% of young voters are still undecided on who to vote for. I am under the impression that number might even be bigger, because I have a lot of friends that are like, I'll just wait till they start campaigning because I'm still not sure what every party is specifically all about. So what do you think? Do you think this is positive progress? Because 11% isn't that big of a number if you think about it, considering there's still a few months left before we hit the polls.
Yeah, I would say it's a progress. I mean, considering, if I'm not mistaken, the number was pretty big like a couple of months ago, and it's lowered down now. So I think there's more information available. The young voters getting better sense on the policies, on the political parties, and there start conversation about baca press, so they can get better insight who's with who, their past records, right? Although, based on our conversation with our audiences as well, it's still hard to really synthesize those informations into a decision, which makes sense. I think we can expect that there will be like more decided voters once they see the presidential candidate list. So I think we see progress.
Yes.
Honestly, that's where I am right now. I'm waiting until that.
Yeah, me
list
too.
as well.
I actually want to log into this and to see which parliamentary members that I'm going to vote for. And you also mentioned about the presidential candidates. So far, will you publish information on the presidential candidates? And if you are going to, when is it going to be?
Yes, of course. We're excited about it. We just had a retreat talking about it.
Yes.
So that's going to be pretty exciting. We're going to launch the data on November or December. So yeah, we're going to align that with the KPU's timeline as well, what's announced. We're also, I mean, can we give a sneak peek? So we're planning, we're cooking something if we can have host events where we can have meaningful direct conversation with the presidential candidates as well. Well, fingers crossed. Hopefully, we can do that. So.
Oh, it's certainly.
I don't see why the presidential candidates wouldn't want that, because they obviously know that there are 52% of young voters that they need to win, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that being said, you could arguably say that young voters could decide this particular election. What's your take on this? Because we haven't been in this situation before, where it's really like, we always say the future is in our youth's hands.
Yeah,
well,
but that was
really
almost
now,
like a rhetoric, but
yeah, now it actually is happening.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to take place? I mean, in regards to how this election is decided, do you think they have that much power?
Wow, this is a tough question. I think whatever, you can ask later, but like we're cautiously optimistic. I mean, we see like what we do is a long-term game, right? To say, I would say, to be very realistic, to say like what we do now is just gonna make a very drastic change. It's hard to say that, but we're starting investing where there's a political education where people start shifting their decision-making process, rational, into the issue itself. So I would say it's definitely, we're developing those kind of impacts. To what extent, it's still something, bijak memilih, it's an experiment. So that's what we're looking
it's a very good experiment.
Yeah,
I would
hopefully.
say so.
But yeah.
Very relevant.
Yeah. Wow, I cannot wait.
And I mean, this is a very interesting one that that I wasn't aware of in regards to BMX. And are you putting a lot of focus onto like these additional platforms? Because not everybody is going to go and click and open a website, but you know, social media for one. A lot of people rely on social media, and in the past, it's been shown that social media hasn't been that reliable to be used for information sharing and things of that sort. So, is there anything that Bijak Memilih is thinking to strategize in regards to those particular platforms, the ones that are easier to access?
Yeah. So I'll explain first. Yeah. So Bijak Memilih itself, it's a tech-enabled movement. So it's never really about just the platform. The platform is just one of the part of the movement, right? So that's why we know on top of the website, we need to do an direct engagement with our audiences, and also we believe that again collaboration. We want to make sure that the issues that we bring, the style, the approach, is something that the community is easier to understand, right? So that's why the spirit of BMX is we do it collaborations with the organizations on the ground.
Yeah, this is basically to reach those who don't have internet access.
And then also to, again, social media, it's one thing, but for you to really like make a dent, it's good to have a direct engagement. And then these communities can also spread the word within their organizations, right? And that's how you build up those momentums.
Yeah.
So that's first, but also on top of that, we also work a lot with the social media. You want to speak more about it?
So we are recently hopping into TikTok also.
Oh, good for you.
We're creating a TikTok videos now with Abigail and everyone joining. And we recently had collaborations with some of the content creators on TikTok. and we're creating a music video that people can refer on. It's called Ngapain Bijak Memilih.
Right.
Why you should vote wisely, and you can see in 3 minutes video. I don't know if we can play it in here.
Oh, can we play it? Do we have it?
Yeah,
Nyla?
I'm sure we can play it. I
One
mean,
of our production staff.
Up there, it's up there.
Ah, there you go.
Okay, there you go.
This is it. Oh my gosh, that is so
Oh, you made it
adorable.
like vintage style. That's adorable.
Right.
I love it. It's like 80s music video.
Yeah.
Yes, and since we are targeting most of the viewers based on the younger audience,
Yes.
the main inspiration from this musical video is coming from Aladdin's main theme song. And Fairy Odd Parents, if you have watched it in the past, Fairy Odd Parents. And then any others music videos out there that
So-
really close to the millennials and Gen Z.
Yes, absolutely.
And always, it's very easy to
gosh.
digest, but there is a lot of information.
Right.
I'm watching it and I can't hear it, but I'm reading the subtitles as well. And it's
Yeah.
actually very explanatory. If you
It
think about it,
is.
it's just wrapped up in a very entertaining.
Yeah, so basically the music video is wrapping up the 3 phases we have in the websites, the issues. We start with the issues,
Yes.
and then second political parties, and then the presidential. And
Okay.
Right.
so hopefully it helps people to understand better about what we're
Hopefully.
trying to deliver in this.
We all hope so. Absolutely. But also at the same time in social media, there is a lot of garbage as well, right? That you have to fight. I mean,
Yeah. Weed
content
through
like
it.
this
Yeah.
usually gets sort of like
Lost.
bulldozed, exactly, or
yeah.
lost. So, what's your advice to the young people, especially for those who are still maneuvering through social media, to make sure that they're not going to be swayed or by hoaxes, especially leading up to the general election? Usually, sometimes the information are very provoking. You know, we definitely want to have a peaceful election, right? So, what's your advice to them?
You want to start first?
Yeah, I guess, again, from what we do, that's part of our effort to advise them basically by providing the information. Because you cannot just advise but without giving actually where I can find the reliable information, right? So that's what we do, and that's why we work with a lot of content creators to spread the news, right? This is the one way how you can like access the right reliable information. And we also work with some organization that has been focusing on fighting hoaxes, misinformation, because they know better the approach to do those kind of education. And so those kind of collaboration is how we engage the young voters as well.
And outside of those collaborations, how do you make sure that Bijak Memilih still remains as basically an independent, neutral entity that people can continue to rely on up until mid-February of next year?
Yeah, again, I mean, there's what we want to do from the beginning. I think from
Worked
the
so
funding.
far.
Yeah, well, I think the challenge has been how to prove it. There's a lot of skeptical comments out there, which understandable.
Sure.
It's, in the past, there hasn't. I mean, I would say virtually non-existent organizations that really like purely independent when they talk about politics, right? So when those skeptical comments come, we understand where it's coming from, right? But from the beginning, we know for sure when we created Bijak Memilih, it's going to be independent movement. So from the funding, from any like substance work, we draw a clear line that we're not going to work with political parties, for example. So yeah, just I think we know for sure. I mean, like even the scale, to be honest, if we want to make it super big, we can do it like with support from political parties. But we just do whatever we can do now, and hopefully those messages can be conveyed clearly.
Yeah, keep up the good work, guys.
Absolutely.
And, you guys, if you haven't checked it out, please do check out bijakmemilih.id and continue to create that great content. I mean, that music video I can show to my 8-year-old daughter and she would love it, right? Even though she doesn't understand it completely. But what we're trying to do is not just educate the youth that have to vote in the next year, but educate all of our youth so they can form a better future, literally, because it's already happening.
It is already happening, and I think your daughter would have to wait for 2 more elections, right? She's going to be 18 by then.
Start it early. The education should start early.
Exactly. Start early. Thank you so much, Florida, and also Hilmi.
Thank you.
Best of luck, and thank you for creating this with the rest of your team. It's going to be super helpful. So young people, please make use of this really, really good platform to help you make informed decisions, especially when you're choosing your leaders, because the future of this country, literally, it is in your hands. All right, so let's take another short break. When we come back, we still have updates from around the world for you. We'll be right back.
I'm not a youth, I'm going to use it.